Next up, we have Dr. Jason Hamilton and Tim Drake, both from Ithaca College on the hill opposite where I am here at Cornell. And Jason and Tim, please take it away.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here. So we're going to take a little bit different approach. We're not going to talk so much about the Nature RX program at Ithaca College. We're going to talk about curriculum development and a book that we're writing that might be useful to you folks. Next slide, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I wanted to touch base on this sort of intersection of mindfulness and nature connection. That's sort of where mine and Jason's work comes together. And I think a lot of people are doing different things when they're outdoors. So we're talking broadly about Nature RX and people getting out there. But, I have a question of what's happening when people get out there. And I guess I want to bring up this idea that maybe all of you have felt the benefits, I'm imagining, of being in nature, but maybe you might acknowledge, like I do, that sometimes I'm outdoors and I actually don't even realize it. I'm on a mission to get someplace, I'm racing, I'm rushing. And so I like looking at this idea of like, well, are people getting the benefits? Do they even know they're outside? And so for us, this idea of mindfulness really was something that we began practicing deeply with, took it from our personal practice into the classroom, started creating a lot of work around that. And I can say for myself, growing up as a child, nature was a refuge. It was a place I could go to truly to have safe space. My family of origin had a lot of substance abuse and a lot of challenging situations to be in as a child. And so being in nature was critical for my well-being. And there wasn't a lot of other people around. So nature was what I had. It was good enough. It was beautiful. But and so much so that as an adult, I started a not-for-profit and have guided over the couple decades, thousands of children really out into the forest and seen the benefits there. But for myself, I also began to understand that sometimes I was closing down, not just because I was busy, but because there was other stuff coming up. And I think there's a lot of ways to address that, and mindfulness isn't the only one. But for me, and what I've seen working with students is that it was a really powerful way to help get people into the present moment enough to reap the benefits of being outside, whether that's for 20 minutes or 20 seconds. Next slide, please.
So in exploring this idea, we developed a new class at Ithaca College called Mindful by Nature, and we taught a version of it in person. We taught a version of it online because of the COVID disruption. But in that, we were able to use this as a proving ground for some of the work that we've been doing really for 20 years of taking people outside. And we developed this routine of every day we would reflect on readings. We would introduce a new teaching or meditation, either based on a meditation tradition or even just general ecology, and coupled with an outside activity. And through the course of this, we developed this concept of story teaching, and that led us to the development of a book.
Next slide.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, so a little bait and switch here. The title of our book was based on our class, Mindful by Nature, the inner work of being outdoors. But as some time has gone by and we've given this manuscript to readers and really reflected on it, this is the title that we have sent off to publishers at this point, looking for a home. And we love to blur this line of inside out and really of nature, nature out there, nature in here, and then asking, is there really a difference? And then, sort of sitting, looking out a window or sitting in nature in a big space. But so like Jason was saying, the class gave us a grounds to explore this. And in that class, we developed not just activities, but also stories that help to carry what we were wanting to convey. And so this book is really bringing that together. So there's stories of experiences that did happen as a class and as a whole over the years, but also stories of Jason's life, my life, childhood, and really finding reflected back to us that stories are just such powerful vehicle for holding together what's important and handing that off as a package, really. And so the book has, I think, 36 chapters. Each one has some type of story in it and a teaching. And then at the end of that, we have what we call tries. And those are activities. Some lean a little bit more into the mindfulness world. Some lean more into nature connection. Some are very much blurred. But it's really just these invitations for people to step out into nature take their seat, as it were, and explore, what's happening out there, but also what's happening in here. Next slide, please.
So now we're going to take you on a mini book tour, like you would get if you went to a bookstore, a new book. And we're going to read to you a little bit from the introduction, and there's going to be some visualizations in there, and a little bit from one of the chapters, so you can get an idea of some of the activities and some of the writing style. So a bit of the introduction. For many of us, our relationship with nature is so remote that we simply don't know how to connect. The natural world is unknown, unpredictable, and a bit scary. Our wall of isolation is so thick that we don't feel connection even when we do go out into the natural world. It's only when we recognize that the armor of isolation is self-imposed that we can start breaking through and feeling the healing that comes from time outside. Most of us go about our days pretending our bodies are singular entities with skin that marks the boundary between what is me and what is not me. But try this. I invite you all to close your eyes and visualize yourself lying in the middle of a tennis court. Crane your neck to see the sidelines and the baselines. You may feel yourself as a small independent unit inside a big box. But consider, the surface area of just your lungs is as big as the entire tennis court. The length of your blood vessels carrying oxygen you absorb from the air is over 60,000 miles long. Your breathing pulls in over 2,000 gallons of air every day. You are way bigger than the tennis court. You are inside the air, and the air is inside you. Even among the living cells that make you, there are way more non-human cells, microorganisms like bacteria and viruses, than there are human cells. There is no place where you stop and nature begins. The disconnect that our society has created between each of us and the outside world is mirrored in the equally thick and hard disconnect we have with our own internal world, our hearts and minds. In the same way that the nature connection movement stems from a deep sense of longing for connection with nature, the mindfulness movement does this for our inside world. With mindfulness, there is a desire for a reconnection with our own true nature. Here lies the beauty and power of where mindfulness and nature connection mirror and support one another. Connection with true nature, inside and out. And so now I'm going to read just a bit of chapter 1 to you, so you can see a difference in the writing style, and then a bit of a guided activity. Baseline. In the song of life, all beings sing the melody, but we dance to the rhythm. Beneath the lyrics is a baseline on which everything is built. Through a deep understanding of this baseline, we can begin to know our place, ourselves, and others intimately. It is also how we come to understand patterns, anomalies, and changes in our life. With mindful awareness of what's around us, we see that there isn't one baseline, but many woven together, changing with time and place. In winter in a northern forest, deep snow blankets the ground and a profound stillness can fill the short day, long night world. Come back to the same forest in spring, and you'll be wrapped in birdsong and enveloped in green. Without a firm awareness of baseline, the collective we of a society often forget even the recent past and begin to believe that what is always was. This is called shifting baseline syndrome. When I came to Ithaca, New York in 2001, there were no black bears here. There were no fisher cats, no porcupine, no black-legged ticks, no Lyme disease, no Asian jumping worms, no emerald ash borer, no giant hogweed, no spotted lanternfly. Now, just 20 years later, the baseline has shifted, and we have all of these beings. For the students we take into the woods, seeing the tracks of fisher cats or bear is exciting, but also normal. Dealing with the threat of Lyme disease is a given. Seeing a healthy ash tree is rare. But long before there was an Ithaca, New York, this land had an abundance of black bear and fisher cats, and many less ash trees. Nothing is permanent, and without deeply connecting to the baseline, in such a way that we feel it, know it, and remember it, we have no ability to perceive the changes. Without that connection, we can't know our role in these changes. We lose our sense of agency and feel powerless to protect the nature we love. When we look to the baseline of our own lives, we find this is no different. Over time, there are pattern and change. Day to day, week to week, our energy shifts with health, mood, demands, and pleasures. Becoming mindful of these baselines is a beautiful tool for living our lives more consciously.
So just kind of take a moment, let Jason's voice and those words kind of maybe continue to resonate and echo. And I'd like to actually guide you through a short meditation. And this is one that comes at the end of a chapter called Snow and Spring for us in the book. And it's something that was shared with me from a few of my teachers. It's called the 3 Ps. It's a beautiful meditation that you can take out into the forest with you. You can do it as we are sitting here. And eventually this can be a 60-second thing, and it's going to be close to that this time. So the first P is to pause. So just letting your body slow down, letting your mind slow down, just sort of taking the train and dialing it back a little bit. So just allowing ourselves to find our center of gravity. There's often a leaning into the future, into what comes next, so much forward momentum, which is beautiful, but it also has to be counterbalanced. So see right now if in the pause, you can find your center of gravity. You can maybe sit a little more upright in your chair if you're sitting or standing. And now the presence comes into play. This is the second P. And in the presence, just becoming aware of what's already here in this moment. So the sound of my voice, of course, but also what else? Listen, let your awareness of, say, the auditory world expand. Maybe there's other sounds that are coming to you, quiet ones, loud sounds, perhaps, sounds that are close or sounds that are far away. And then also the visuals. So there's a screen in front of you, beautiful picture of a hickory tree up at Cornell, Don's home turf there. But what else is in your peripheral vision? Even as you look at the screen, maybe you can see things off to the side. Don't even have to go looking for them. They just come to you if you open up your awareness. And then what else is present? You could let your eyes close. Sometimes that helps to be able to look inward a little bit. So if you want to, your eyes could close or just be soft. And maybe you start to feel sensations in your body, fatigue, hunger, need for a bio break, perhaps. Or maybe you feel very content, very at peace, very at ease, but just whatever it is, not needing to change anything, not needing to judge what's been found, just an acknowledgement of what's already present. And this is an invitation to be present. So we go from pause, we come into presence. There's a kindness with what we've noticed, an openness to name and to make room for what's here. And the third P is proceed. So that's when we just say the moment that we've been exploring is already behind us. The next one's here, and it gives us permission just to move on and maybe hold some of that awareness as we go. Pause, presence, proceed. And we'll proceed to the next slide.
Thank you very much, everybody. We can take some questions now, or we can we'll be here at the end.
Thank you so much, Jason and Tim. I'm going to get my video working again. Here we go. And really, really appreciate your giving us insights into the approaches that you use with your students at Ithaca College, as well as insights on how each of us can take the time each day to stop whatever we're doing and really enjoy and admire the things around us. So, having been one of the reviewers of this book, I'm really inspired by it and very much look forward to its publication so it can be shared much more widely.